Good afternoon. How you doing? This is Fade to Black breaking news for this Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. This is all of the news that you need. I'm Jimmy Church. Feels good to be back in the chair and sharing all of the breaking news with you. I'm back from Egypt, and I want to remind everybody tonight on the show we have Daryl Anka. That's right, the channeler of Bashar. We're going to be talking about our metaphysical world and all kinds of things. It's Daryl Anka. No telling where that conversation is going to lead tonight. So you're not going to want to miss that. And also tomorrow night, right here on Fade to Black. Well, this is the news, but tomorrow night on Fade to Black, after the news, Richard Dolan is with us. Help support the show and everything that we do here. Got a big team. Get your Fade to Black T-shirts. The links are below, and there's 2 shirts and 2 ways to get them. The links are below. And also, I want to remind everybody, this is very important. In 3 weeks, it's Stairway to the Stars at the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. Been preparing for this show and putting it together. It's going to be one of the biggest conferences all year long, and go and get your tickets now. The links and the discount code for you Fadernauts is below. Get your tickets, and we will see you there at the Luxor Hotel, Stairway to the Stars. All right, let's get straight to it. On this day in history, recreational marijuana became legal in Canada on this day in 2018. And they haven't stopped celebrating since. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Here's your Fader fact. The Guinness Book of World Records was created to settle bar arguments. Bet you didn't know that. And that is your Fader fact. All right, let's get to all this breaking news. Samples taken from Leonardo da Vinci's iconic paintings, Mona Lisa and The Last Supper, suggest the renowned Renaissance artist played around with chemicals, causing a rare toxic compound to form in his artworks. He experimented with the compound lead 2 oxide, causing the formation of the toxic lead compound. You ready? Plumbacrete in a layer beneath the iconic Mona Lisa painting. In new research published last week in the Journal of the American Chemical Society. Leonardo began some of his artworks by laying down thick layers of lead white pigment and by infusing his oil with lead 2 oxide, which is an orange pigment that conferred specific drying properties to the paint above it. There you go. Earth's lower orbit, which is already crowded with tens of thousands of satellites, are about to get ready for this. Are about to choke with many more, underscoring a need for stringent laws regarding the use of shared orbital space. All of this according to new research. Check this out. More specifically, experts believe more than 1 million satellites are headed to low Earth orbit. To arrive at that figure, researchers studied recent filings in the International Telecommunication Union, otherwise known as the ITU, and their database, which is a United Nations agency responsible for granting spaces in orbit for satellite use. To launch and operate satellite populations, nations are required to submit relative information to the ITU. Now, the records show nations worldwide have proposed launching over 1 million satellites distributed across 300 mega constellations, which are those vast networks of satellites that work together to provide internet services. The proposed satellites are 115 times higher than the number of functional satellites currently circling Earth. Filings between 2017 and 2022 in the ITU's database show nations have filed for satellite groups much larger than SpaceX's Starlink, which remains the biggest satellite mega constellation in space to date and has nearly 5,000 components with more to come. Rwanda's Cinnamon 937 satellite constellation, for instance, is currently the single biggest constellation filed with the ITU and projects a total of, check this, 337,320 satellites. That's insanity. Yeah. All right. NASA officials have again proposed one of two forthcoming spacewalk postpone one of two forthcoming spacewalks in the wake of a recent coolant leak on the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The spacewalk was set for this Thursday, will now happen later in 2023 as NASA and Russia's Federal Space Agency, Roscosmos, continue their analysis. The coolant used on the ISS is ammonia, which requires extra decontamination procedures if spacesuited astronauts are nearby. The leak in Russia's Nauka space module started and stopped on the same day, October 9th, but the cause is still unknown at this time. It's the third time that the Russian ISS equipment has leaked ammonia in the past year. Wow. A new study published today in Nature Climate Change now documents that over the past 20 years, the Gulf Stream has warmed faster than the global ocean as a whole and has shifted towards our coast. The study, led by Robert Todd, a physical oceanographer at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, relies on over 25,000 temperature and salinity profiles collected between 2001 and 2023. According to their data, the Gulf Stream has warmed on average about 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit over the past 2 decades, becoming increasingly lighter than the waters below. The team also found that the Gulf Stream to be shifting closer to the shore at about 3.1 miles per decade on average. 3.1 miles, meaning that the Gulf Stream is moving gradually closer to the northeastern United States continental shelf. 3.1 miles per decade. A 21-year-old computer science student has won a global contest to read the first text inside a carbonized, as in burnt, scroll from the ancient Roman city of Herculaneum, which had been unreadable since that volcanic eruption in 79 AD, the same one that buried nearby Pompeii. The breakthrough could lead and open up hundreds of texts from the only intact library to survive from Greco-Roman antiquity. His name, Luke Ferrator, who is at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He developed a machine learning as an AI algorithm that has detected Greek letters on several lines of the rolled up papyrus. Ferrator used subtle, small-scale differences in surface texture to train his neural network and highlight the ink. Hundreds of scrolls were buried by Mount Vesuvius in October of 79 AD when the eruption left the city under 20 meters of volcanic ash. Early attempts to open the papyrus created a mess of fragments. It all broke apart, and scholars feared that the remainder could never be unrolled or read. And that is amazing. It may be possible to create paved roads and landing pads on the moon by using lasers to melt lunar soil into a more solid layered substance. All of this in the reports of a proof of concept study in the scientific reports. Although these experiments were carried out here on Earth, using a substitute for lunar dust, by the way, these findings demonstrate the viability of the technique and suggest it could be replicated on the moon. Janice Palomares, Miranda Fateri, and Jens Gunster melted a fine-grained material called EAC-1A, developed by the ESA as a substitute for lunar soil, with a carbon dioxide laser to simulate how lunar dust can be melted by focused solar radiation on the moon into a solid substance. And that is crazy, but not as crazy as this. That's right. And finally, I'm going to leave you with this. Archaeologists in Turkey have unearthed a nearly 11,000-year-old statue that depicts a giant man clutching his penis. Also, along with the life-size wild boar statue, by the way, the two statues come from the neighboring sites of Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. The wild boar statue, which is carved from limestone, by the way, was found at Göbekli Tepe and dates between 8700 BC and 8200 BC. It measures 4.5 feet tall and about 2.3 feet wide. Archaeologists unearthed the other large sculpture at the site of Karahan Tepe, about 22 miles from Göbekli Tepe. It depicts a 7.5 foot tall man holding his pee-pee. That's right. And his ribs, his spine, and shoulders are exceptionally, particularly pronounced, right? They're all showing. And he may be actually depicted as being dead, like Momo. And this is when I normally have a nice, funny, some profound statement. And right now, I got nothing. Seriously. There you go. There's all the Fade to Black breaking news that you need for this Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. Fade to Black breaking news is produced by Renee Newman. I'm Jimmy Church. I'll see everybody tonight on the show, Fade to Black, with our guest, Daryl Anka. Until then, Göbekli Tepe.